Am I the asshole for not staying with my wife during her C-section even after she asked? I don't like the operating room and, at some point of my life, hospital. When my ex-wife had her C-section, she had a complication and hovered between life and death for a long time. It was a horrible experience to feel so helpless. Currently, I deal with this in therapy. Several things have improved, but going into an operating room is a big no-no for me. When my ex had our second child, I was very nervous and she asked me to wait outside the operating room. When my current wife and I decided to try to have children, I made it very clear that I didn't care what her choice of delivery was. But C-section I would not enter. But that I would stay by her side at all times except for operation. She agreed and eventually became pregnant. She decided in the middle of the pregnancy that it would be a C-section and I said that was fine. But I remembered my limitation. She understood and invited her mother to take my place. On the day of the surgery, before she had an C-section, she asked me to come in with her, because she wanted a moment of our own. I apologized, but that this was my limit and that I couldn't. She said fine, I'll go with my mother then, and had a crying face. I tried talking to her but to no avail and my mill kept looking at me disputing. Anyway, I don't think it would have been a hell. Because I was very nervous and it definitely wouldn't have helped at all inside the operating room. Everything went well and our daughter was born beautiful and healthy. I was already at the exit of the operating room waiting for them and I didn't leave their side. Later, when we were alone, my wife said that I abandoned her at a vulnerable time and left her alone when she needed me most. I tried talking to her, but she said that now we need to focus on our daughter. But that she was disappointed in me as a partner. Apparently my mill told family members what I did and I'm being criticized. My wife and I have only talked about the baby and this has been going on for a week now. Am I the asshole? Extra in the case of my ex. It was a C-section in parts mandatory, the first no. The second yes, and my wife's elective yes. In my country, C-section can be a choice, as long as the pregnant woman is aware of the risks. Not the asshole. I work labor and delivery. 1. Traumatic births are very traumatic. The sights, sounds, and smells of ROR will trigger any PTSD in a jiffy. 2. We absolutely don't need a third patient in that OR, or fourth if you are having twins. I'm sorry this all happened. Info: what do you mean when you say she wanted you to go in with her to have a moment of your own? This was before the surgery. Was she expecting you to stay for the surgery after all? Or was this a moment and then Mill would come in? Not the asshole. People are acting like OP is just a bit nervous when he's in therapy and actively working on his trauma. Saying he needs to grow up gives the same energy as telling a depressed person to just no be sad anymore. OP made his limitations very clear. At several points in their relationship and during the pregnancy. He was present during the birth. He's not an absent or unsupportive partner. I don't think the wife is tar. I get that in the moment she wanted him there. Her feelings are valid. I do think her family is tar for harassing OP about this. Not the asshole you going panic or faint in the operating room, only adding more dead weight on. Medical team already dealing with immediate emergency of getting baby out of mom and keeping them both alive. Also, you already have a talk on why it's not a good idea to be in there. All the man up comment here are just fragile weaklings who can't even priority mom and child safety. If you going to be useless, at least not being potential problem. Asshole or not, your marriage might be in serious danger. Being only focused on the baby and not acting mad at you anymore isn't a good sign. It might mean she's simply checking out of the marriage and only focusing on the parenting. You guys sound on the path to being co-parents and not romantic partners. Therapy might be helpful. Have any of you calling OPTA had a C-section? I've had 4. I didn't want to be in the damn room for them either. I have trauma from them. You can't just overcome trauma and man up, as commenter said. Op. You are not the asshole. Your wife knew your boundaries. Your wife intentionally picked a C-section knowing your boundaries. You have done nothing wrong. My inbox is open if you need to talk about it. I completely understand and I am more than willing to provide some support. Not the asshole. Believe me, the doctors and nurses and staff deeply appreciate your not being present. There is nothing worse than an unnecessary distraction during a surgery, such as a fainting or panicked husband. It's a shame your wife is hurt by this. But it really is in everyone's best interest for you to be outside in the waiting room. Hope it all goes well and you have a happy family and a healthy baby. When I was in college, my sorority sister had a bad asthma attack. I took her to emergency. All was fine until they started a procedure to help her breathe. I straight fainted in the ER. They had to deal with my goofy ass. It disrupted life-saving care for my friend. I'm sturdier now, have been there for my people in emergencies since. But that taught me that if anyone is hesitant to be near medical stuff, don't question it. Find him a chair somewhere else. Nah. I feel like you told her your limitations. And having someone who might have a panic attack in the OR is not at all helpful to the situation. But I can sympathize with your wife's feelings of having to do it without you. Nah, surgery is a trigger for you. You explained this before conceiving. It's also a terrifying moment for your partner and she'd understandably want you by your side. There was never going to be a winner here. Congratulations on the baby. I'm not gonna call you out either way as a veteran of watching 2 C-sections. There were some complications with my wife's first. She squeezed my hand so hard I thought bones were broken. As they rushed my daughter away, my wife said, "Follow my baby everywhere they go." I was glad I could give her that comfort. To this day, both C-sections still seem like the whole operation an out-of-body experience. Glad I was there. Not the asshole. If you had have told the doctors, they would have perhaps advised that you no go in. I wouldn't want you in my theater if there was a chance you would freak out. Saying that it is a planned procedure, so they would have looked to accommodate you with a minder who would have been with you and taken you in and out. Risk of that is they wouldn't have allowed you and Mill in the theater at the same time. You would have been more of a R if you freaked out and then left her totally alone. This is a hard one. Not the asshole. The amount of people in this thread disregarding actual PTSD that OP is actively getting therapy for is outright disgusting. Not the asshole. From a medical point of view, she chose to deliver via C-section. While knowing your limitations, having a person inside OR who is not comfortable, therefore probably going to faint, is a big no-no.